Well, all right. Welcome to the broadcast. This is Leland Best of BCBLive coming to you from getvocal.com today. So if you're watching me out on Facebook Live or YouTube, come join the conversation by following the link, or just head over to, that's in the description, that is, or just head on over to getvocal.com and you should see us broadcasting on the front page, or at least see the show that is available to join. So I'm really excited. This is our first episode of season 1 of Wake Up West Coast. It's lunchtime. If you want to get the play on words here, I'm here in Michigan, and we usually say I'm located somewhere in here in the middle of the mitten, which, you know, it's wintertime. Get used to that. This is where we figure we've got to dress right in this state because we're shaped like a piece of winter apparel, and it's getting cold around here. But we felt, I've got so many friends in California, that it was one of those days we should just come out here and tell people, look, wake up, man, let's get together. We're already on lunchtime. You guys are just getting out of bed and having coffee. So let's sit down and network. Let's hang out, do some stuff. Just a couple things I want to cover before we get going, and that is up under that banana on the screen above me anyway. You'll see a list of code of conduct rules. Please pick on that and take a look. No trolls, haters not welcome. RESPECT, no insults or offensive language. Be concise. So get to the point, stay on topic, try not to float off on too many tangents. Keep it real, try not to exaggerate or misrepresent facts, and keep an open mind. Because even if you disagree, try to understand opposing views that you might learn something, right? That's kind of how that goes. Just as a feeder here, we're going to be doing this every Monday at noon, and this isn't your typical live talk show host broadcast where I'm going to be bringing in guests every week and you're just going to sit there and watch. The whole principle behind this show is to come in and network and get together, get to know new people. Maybe you'll find someone who's connected to your business model. Maybe you'll find someone you could use as a friend, or you know, you never know what you're going to encounter here. So we're not here to make it difficult for anyone to get into a seat either. So we're going to probably use a round robin principle. If there are a lot of people ever on the broadcast, we'll get people in for maybe 10 or 15 minutes and then let somebody else sit, and we'll just keep the chairs flowing. So that's the intent. I'm going to bring out my first guest anyway, but anyone else who's here is welcome to join in, because this is not a formal setup. I'm not using green screens. I may do the overlay and the music when we come in the morning, but the big thing here is to just sit down and be totally casual. So if you want to drink your coffee, feel free. If you want to snack on your food, feel free. Just make sure that if you are crunching or popping or there's noise in the background, please mute yourself out on the mic before you continue. Or if something just chaotic ends up behind you on camera, please do what you have to either step out of the seat, or I'll go ahead and either mute or remove you temporarily until things get back under control. So that's all I've got for an intro today. I'm not going to make this really difficult. So I'm going to open up the seats. Anyone here that would like to join us, please hop in and we'll take it from there. I've got a couple things we'll start off as far as topics go, but Preston, feel free to grab a seat and get comfortable. Carlos, yourself as well. I got a couple other people coming along, and Steve, you're welcome to hop in, or Joe, whichever. I know all of you folks from Blab. I understand that this is like the new go-to for Blab. So we're just having fun over here. We're enjoying ourselves, and that's what this is all about, is to connect with others in other places in the world. Preston, nice to see you, man. How you doing today, buddy?
Good, over yourself.
I'm doing great, man. Now, Preston, you're down there in Honduras, correct?
That is correct. A little bit warmer here.
Mm-hmm. Your camera looks great, by the way. Did you get some new equipment this year, or better internet speed service, or what's going on over there?
All the above.
Really?
I still need a newer computer, but yeah, I got for my job, I have to have fast internet access, so I'm paying through the nose for it, but it is what it is.
It's got to be tough. So is that like a satellite system that you're connected to do that? How's that work?
Nope, it's just a regular cable without cable, because we don't watch cable. Oh, okay. But we, gotcha. I guess they have fiber optics. We were supposed to meet with them Friday, but that didn't work out. So we'll see how their fiber optic is. It's supposed to save me about $25 a month. So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. So we talked a little bit, but we didn't get together prior to the broadcast, and that's really how I'm going to run this show. I don't intend on making this anything that's stuffy. I don't want this to be a stuffy atmosphere. I want people to just feel comfortable and come in as they are and be relaxed. So I know we haven't talked in a while. What have you been up to down there in Honduras? I know there's been some career changes or some things going on. Your work is a little different than it used to be when we last met. So fill us in a little bit about where you're at in Honduras down there.
Yeah, we're in San Pedro Sula. We came down here a while back because my mother and father-in-law had a church down here, and they needed help with the ministry and with other things, other churches that they had, And so we got involved with Operation Christmas Child too. So if you belong to a church that actually has those boxes for Christmas, a lot of them come here. And we distributed it out to all the churches here in Honduras, like 180 churches or something. So it's a lot of work when they come in, and we're still distributing them to this day. So it's a lot of fun, though. There's, when the kids get these boxes, they're filled with toys, they're filled with things that they need for school, and they don't get that often. So it's like I said, a lot of work because those boxes are not that light anymore, and as you get older, it gets worse. So. Sure.
All right, we got Carlos Phoenix coming into the broadcast. Nice to see you, buddy. How's things going for you? You on the road?
I don't. No, I'm not driving or anything. Just parked.
Oh no, that's
cool. I just wanted to get some lunch, and I saw that you're on, so I thought, hey, let me just jump on.
Oh, I appreciate that, Carlos. Are you still in Atlanta, or are you moving around now?
No, I'm in Atlanta. Here's where we built one of the main companies that will be launching in November. And then the other company I have that's launching in November also is in Canada. But it's a U.S. focused business.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be working with some people in Canada and the UK here real quick. I've been dealing with some stuff on the back end. Ryan Prez. Do you know Ryan? You may.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably doing some collab work with him, but he's up in Vancouver, I believe. So that's his territory.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if he's interested in launching his show on my platform.
Oh, so yeah. I'm sure he would be.
That works.
Yeah, and are you still under silence on that whole thing, or are you giving out any clues as to what's coming?
So we're ready to launch. I've been doing some videos, lives, and stuff like that, giving off more information. So for those who are like, well, what's he talking about? So I'm launching two major platforms, extremely backed. One is basically a competitor to what will be Netflix, Hulu, television channels, and stuff like that. And my portion of that business is focused on the Latin entertainment industry. So everything from Latinos just working in film in English, to South American countries or content from Spain, and try and bring it into the Latin and to the American market under a Latin channel where Latinos who live here would enjoy access to that content.
Oh, cool. Now, I only muted you, Preston, because the key presses were really loud while Carlos was talking. So you have to unmute yourself. If I mute you for any reason, I can't take the mute back off. So if you want to say something, just feel free to unmute yourself at any time. We're going to keep this pretty casual, so I'm not too worried about shutting people up. I don't want to do that to anyone. But if the background noise gets interference, then I'm going to have to close it. So this is a CDN, basically, or content delivery network you're creating with scheduling and uploads where people can create their own show, their own channel, schedule their own events at whatever time of the day they want to. Is it just like a single channel event?
So it's more, a majority of it is video on demand, but we're a little bit different and more flexible than things like Netflix and Amazon, where some of the content can be done live. So we can do pay-per-view live concerts, for example, or sporting events, or anything to that effect. The idea is for the content creators to be able to monetize their content. We also are doing music distribution. So the music distribution side, we have partnership with Sony. And so we're able to just release anybody's song without a record label directly to every major platform worldwide. So it's over 200 different platforms. And with Sony, allow Sony to have access to that music in case they want to use it for the next Spider-Man movie or whatever movies they want, or TV shows. They'll be able to access all this independent music, and that could easily make an independent person skyrocket in popularity.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll ask both of you gentlemen, and Preston, I'll let you answer first. Have either of you kind of delved into or looked into what's going on with 5G that's coming out and will probably likely go live around 2020? Preston, have you been involved in any of that? I know you mentioned you changed careers somewhat recently. Are you working for the man again now, or are you on your own still, or are you looking into keeping in the video scene and trying to work things out in that respect, or what's happening with you over there? Oh, got to unmute yourself. And if you can't, you may have to jump out of the seat, because this is a new site. We're just kind of playing around here to test the waters and see how it works. But this is built on OpenTalk, which is similar to the TalkBox platform that Blab was built on. So we'll probably see some of the same glitchy audio, video, seat transfer issues that we've had before. Yes, Shelton, hop in. No problem. I've got some other people coming that I did request to be here. So if I see them show up in the chat, I will probably ask somebody who was just popping in to step aside for a few minutes, but we're doing fine there. So Preston, you're back. Go ahead and let's see what you got.
Yeah, I am back. Yeah, obviously I did have a career change. I actually, was working web cameras in hotels and resorts, and that was a lot of fun. I did very well with it. I had a bigger company that we were going to partner with, but it really never worked out. And then we had this bright idea, or the owners had the bright idea to work with Google and have ads in every one of our cameras. And we thought it was going to be a go, but Google did not want to do it for some reason. I have no idea. I think that's idiotic on their part, because, I mean, we're averaging about 150,000 views per camera per view on average. So it's like, I don't understand. Maybe they're looking for bigger numbers. I don't know. But
now your cameras were cameras that were mounted up on top of the buildings of the hotels to give representation of what action was going on, the scene basically of, the hot spot.
Exactly.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like? Because I think that's something that not a lot of people think about. And I think they had a great thing on their hands here. And again, the reason for this show is to network. This isn't about interviews. This isn't about me poking somebody's brain for the sake of my audience. It's more about poking each other's brain to see maybe how we can work together, how we can mesh, things we can help each other with, that type of stuff. That's all we're here for. So feel free to talk about whatever you've done that you thought might be important. Moving ahead, that maybe missed a shot at.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a great opportunity, but we were actually in a point of saying, well, now that Google is going to work with us, we don't even have to sell our cameras; we just give them away. And we thought it was a great idea, and we thought people would just take them, and they did, some of them, but there's still that issue of, well, I still have to take the time to put it up. I'm like, yeah, but it's a free camera. This $2,500 camera we're giving to you for free. And a lot of them didn't want the advertising in there either. Well, I don't want no other resort advertising. And I said, well, we can't control that if Google has it. But more than likely, we won't have as many as what you think it is. So there was a lot of challenges with that. And then I just, after a while, I'm like, I'm commission only. I got to start making some better income. Oh, sure. And I found a friend of mine in Minnesota that was hiring. He owns an IT company. I've known him for years, so I knew he was a good deal. And I've known him. He's a very honest person, so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to work with you. And I worked with him for about a year, and then he lost a huge nonprofit, so I lost my job there. But he recommended me to a friend, who also recommended me to a friend. So now I work with two IT companies. And setting up appointments for them, but it's a regular income. But my passion is not that. My passion now is VR, AR, and mixed reality. I think that's the next biggest thing that's coming out there. There's a lot of groups that are forming. There's a lot of companies that are forming. Obviously, Facebook has bought an Oculus and some other ones. PlayStation just released their numbers that they sold 3 million units of their VR, meaning that they also had to sell their PlayStation 4 because you can't play with it without that. So it was a pretty decent number to show the growth of the industry. I'm working with some industry leaders, especially in the advertising realm, that really have some really big interest in VR, obviously. and there's a lot of great information that I'm getting. So I'm forming a company around that concept. We're going to be utilizing VR or AR, or a mixture of both, and being able to really have a segment of a retail market that's not out there yet. Amazon could do it, but not in our niche. And, I'm sure Facebook is probably going to do something similar, but not. I mean, right now we have about 10. I know this sounds strange, but we have 10 revenue sources inside of our business model. So.
Sounds interesting. So before we continue, I just want to welcome Sheldon to the broadcast. Nice to see you, buddy.
Sheldon.
Hello, sir. I have something to talk about.
Go ahead.
Gentleman.
Speak up.
Is he done? Is he done? I don't want to talk unless he's done.
Yeah, we're going to try to keep it to 5-10 minutes a piece so that we're not just spending a whole lot of time on one person.
I will try to count my time here. I used to have a show, which Carlos remembers, on Lab in the mornings from about 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. I would be more than happy to do it on this platform, but there's no discovery on this platform.
Not yet. There is if you use it right. Now let me kind of explain how I do it. I'll tell you how I do discovery, okay? I come out here each week on Monday. So what I do is I make my next broadcast right after I leave here. And I open up the seats here at the broadcast arena so that people can come and pop in and what have you. And then I've got those links down below. So please, if you're here and you're just kind of hanging out, smack those buttons down below and share these out to Facebook, Twitter, G+. And I love the fact they have LinkedIn here as well. That's one that we were lacking several times. Or shoot an email out to your friends and let them know you're hanging out over here.
Well, the thing is, I have no friends and no one cares what I have to say. So the issue
plenty of folks
is
on Blab that still would love to hang out.
I know, but the point is, what I want to do is I want to, at 6 a.m., 5 days a week, sit down, turn my computer on, pull up this site, and sit back and wait for people to show up and then talk to them. Because I was really good at, I had like a little coterie, a little group of people, regulars, who would just pop in for 2 hours during the course of the 2 hours, and we would talk about whatever was on. Like it was not formal. I didn't have any preparation or anything. I just asked questions, and it was pretty popular. It was pretty good. And like I said, I would be willing to do it on this platform in a heartbeat. But it's difficult to do when you don't really have the.
Just do it. Just see what happens.
I know.
Say to anybody
nothing will happen because I will sit here for 2 hours and there won't be anybody show up.
Believe me, that's what we did. When Jonathan and I, in case you guys don't know me from Blab, if you're here watching today, Jonathan Tripp and I ran a show 5 days a week, an hour a day for over 100 episodes as Blab Nation over on Blab. And when we started, we had met because he came in from Periscope and just started broadcasting on his own. And I caught him one day, just like you said. He was just sitting in the room all by himself. And I said, hey, who's this guy? And I stopped and said hi. And from that, I started to appear every time he showed up. And then within a couple of weeks, I said, John, we should just turn this into a show, man. We've got something going on here. You got followers. We got followers. I got followers. Let's do something. So we created a show. And that's the same principle. It takes a few weeks before it kicks into gear.
I am well aware of that.
They'll be there. They'll be there.
You're preaching to the choir. The only issue, and I'm just being cold, hard facts here, realistic facts, is that you, sir, are a normal human being, and people actually will listen to you when you say, "Hey, let's do something." I could come up with like how to save the baby Jesus, and people will be like, "What? What's in it for me? I want some money." So the issue is that I would like some assurance that if I did it, it doesn't have to be. It can be one person. It could just be one person.
I wish I would like some assurance too. I sat here for 2 hours the other night. Not a single person stopped into my room, even though it was wide open and it was showing up on the front page. I just sat here working the whole time, thinking, well, maybe somebody will show up, but no.
I think you're misinterpreting. I know, like I at heart am an entrepreneur, even though I have no money. And I
no entrepreneur.
I know that you have to start from zero. I know you have to start from zero and work your way up. And I've done it a few times, and it's been very pleasant and once or twice actually successful. It's just given that this does not have discovery, that element of just putting your shingle out and then waiting for people to pop in doesn't exist quite yet. Although it does exist in some respect.
let me ask you this: do you have the broadcaster rights for the site to schedule a broadcast?
No, I do not.
Okay, there's your problem. Go send an email to Zan. It's just an Alexander. He may be in the room here today. I saw a couple of Alexanders pop in, but I know this one here isn't one of them. I don't believe. But just send an email at Zan@GetVocal, and you will get broadcast rights if you just tell them you were on Blab. And then what you have the ability to do is schedule, and then it'll show up on the front page. And
see, that's what I need. That's if I can get that.
Go get it. Because what you're doing, you're opening a private room when you try to come to Get Vocal, and nobody will see it unless you share it with them. So you need to get those broadcaster rights, and then you'll have all the exposure you need.
And see, I think that touches on something that I did. In fact, I would, not to toot my own horn, but I would recommend that I can send you the link of a Facebook Live I did about Get Vocal and live streaming, which you might find illuminative. You might find it illuminative.
Yeah, shoot me at BCBLive.
Yeah. So the issue is that I talked about how I think maybe if you had some way of controlling who could actually participate, that would allow scalability in some respect. Because the larger you get, the more likely trolls and whatnot will cause problems. But if you sort of control a little bit more about who can actually participate, maybe you could scale it a little bit. And that was just off the top of my head.
No, I think you nailed it. You want to say something about that, Carlos, as far as discoverability goes? I think you're one of the dogs on top of that field.
I'm not concerned. So of course, right now, because I have two different platforms, one of the platforms is not like Get Vocal. It's designed for, let's say, movie premieres, Broadway plays, comedy shows, kind of like live interactive television programming, and allows the people in the chat room to interact and talk to the actors and come on camera and stuff like that. But we control everything on the back end. And if people have ideas for shows, they can come through me and so on. But what I'm interested in is to see what the plans are for Get Vocal, to integrate maybe a workflow for the content creators to then say, you know what, there's an after show on Get Vocal or something to that effect. And one of the things that Shelton just brought up is the concern is how much control do you have on the people who are sitting on your chairs, but they're just not going to randomly show up.
See, Carlos,
and so on, like Blab did. Yeah.
The thing, you have an excellent product. It's feature rich. It's great. It serves a niche. The only thing I'm a little concerned, not even concerned, just an observation, is it so feature rich that maybe if you had like a really stupid version, that might be like for more sort of broad use, that might be a bit more, that might fill a niche too.
Well, I don't see it as feature rich. It's got a very specific intent and purpose. So so everything that I'm building, everything I'm creating is very specifically for the content creators to monetize. So like Vocal does not have that in its current iteration. So if let's say Leland is doing a show, like right now he doesn't have a method of being able to make it.
Okay.
Unless he's selling something.
Carlos, this is, if I may interrupt briefly, this is what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting, and I think this is like an aha moment. What I'm saying is, maybe this is the case, and I just don't know it. But if you provided to the end user, to the masses, a similar experience to what we have right here, but to the content provider, the back end had all your goodies, that's kind of the best of both worlds.
Well, that is actually how it's designed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there will be like a mobile app with Sia. Sia is the name of the platform. And so they can actually pay to watch a movie or Broadway play on their mobile device. And then when we have the actors and stuff like that sitting down and talking to the audience, you can request to be on camera on your phone or your computer, and then you get to be invited as a guest to talk to the actors. Usually we'll have a host. So right now we have Kevin Smith as a host for one of our shows that we'll be doing. I'm going to be doing a film festival, or maybe a couple of film festivals, where you don't have to travel to the film festival. It's completely online, and it's monetized. So the people who are presenting films and stuff like that have an opportunity to make money because otherwise, a lot of all these products are being done, and there's no income for anybody. And so, that was the problem Blab had. People are making shows, and yet, a show.
We found ways, yeah.
So
yeah, we found ways to use hyperlinks in the chat.
But it wasn't allowing. It wasn't because of the platform. No. They had to kind of.
We did it ourselves.
They had to make up their own stuff.
It may I, because Carlos, you're a very intelligent man, and I don't want to interrupt you unnecessarily. May I make some?
Don't interrupt anybody, damn
it. May I make some comments briefly?
Yes.
Cool.
The thing about Blab was it had no growth marketing strategy. It had no growth marketing strategy in the sense that it didn't really know what it was, and. At one point, Brittany said that they were thinking about being a video Reddit, and I think that was definitely an option for them that they did not pursue. I think it's difficult for me. I want to be as diplomatic as possible. I think the people who wanted to make money maybe got a little bit ahead of their skis. I think that Blab was so small that everybody wants to make money, but sometimes. You got to kind of like
that small. I don't know where you think that was a small enterprise. Okay. That was actually backing of about $50 million when they started. That was just drizzling from other avenues. It was actually some of the people who were from TalkBox, or was it TalkBox? I believe somebody in there had the connection to TalkBox.
Why don't they got bought to be able to upgrade?
No, I'm not talking about the back end. I'm talking about the actual people using it. I knew, like, at one point, I felt as though I knew a good chunk of the actual people on screen at any one moment. In each room at any moment only had a good room was 15 people. That's barely a cocktail party. So, unless something was going on I don't know about, unless you guys had like 5,000 people in a room and I didn't know about it, and you were like hiding it from me, generally rooms are about 15 people. So,
Well, they had a maximum.
Well, right now we're set up to have 100,000 people.
Yeah. And Blab would never have been able to do that. It was too big.
Well, that was like their whole user base was about 100,000 tops. Right. That was all they had. I just got a comment outside the feed here real quick. We got Alexander saying, get Blab certified from 1999 or for 1999. And that, if you didn't know what that meant, it was something that went out viral on Blab one day. It was Tom Petty, we called him. It was Tim Gillette, actually. Looks a lot like Tom Petty. He just wanted to try something. And what he did was he put this green check mark next to his name, which you see on me. If you want one for yourself, copy and paste that thing down there in the chat and put it in your profile, and you'll have one. But he did it and said, and for $20, I'll teach you how to get one. People were actually PayPaling him money on Blab like that. And he was like, oh my God, I didn't expect anybody to buy him. So he sent the money back. But the whole fact of the matter was a lot of people were like, man, they're trying to scam people out here, because there were some scams that took place.
Yes, there were. Yes, there were.
You got to be careful. But what do you think?
You're touching on a very significant part, and that is the discoverability is the killer app of what we're doing. I think making friends is the killer app. That's the what?
I was just going to say, Preston, what do you think about the discovery thing? Is this something that you have an opinion on, or what you think could be the best way to find these kind of shows on these kind of sites?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it has to be discovered, obviously, because this is a public room, but you have to have the link to come in. It is a little bit more difficult. However, like you said, it does have the Facebook, it has the Twitter, it has the Google, and it has a LinkedIn, it has email, so you can invite people. And I'm assuming that some of these also come up into the main broadcast of the front page of Vokeland.
Yeah.
I mean,
so the way I got in was on the mobile device, obviously. And I was able to see it on the little calendar.
So it showed on the calendar. And then what, like Preston's saying, if you've got a following, we're broadcasting to Facebook and YouTube right now. So anyone on my following, at least, or if I even share those publicly, maybe somebody doesn't want to hang out on the site. So if you're out there on Facebook and you're going, well, what the heck? I'm leaving comments, but they're not saying anything. That's because the conversation is over here on Get Vocal. So if you want to join us, hit the little link up in the description. Come on over.
On mobile, you can't even see the comments anyway. So
not yet. No, that's a feature that has not been added into the app yet, and they will be adding that shortly. So that's just my take on what I'm getting in emails from Get Vocal, because they communicate with me kind of direct. They invited me to do the Blab reunion, actually, like a week after I discovered this site. So they had a plan to bring the Blabbers over here all along and try to get them back in touch with each other and see where they could take this. And I think their ideas are great. They've got some, they're trying to stay away from advertising, but they're looking at potential possibilities with sponsorships toward, like, if people want to answer surveys up in the menu, where they could maybe, they're not sure yet. They've got all kinds of really interesting business models they want to look at and see if they work. And they're also working with JS and John Preto on the back end, because they had all the metrics from Blab. So they're going to kind of work with them with all.
Because John Preto did that thing where he did the thing about how many actual users there were.
Oh, he knows.
Also,
he got a lot more.
Will in China is a great resource for that, because
he's here. John's here. I'm gonna bug out. So I appreciate your time. Nice meeting you all. Hopefully we become friends again.
Gotta go, Preston. Sorry I didn't get you on the mic too much. Maybe one of these times
I didn't mean to blab jack you. I didn't mean to do that.
You're fine. Just hanging out.
Not a blab jack, not at all. I'm gonna see who's over
Vocal
here.
Jack.
Vocal Jack.
Let's not promote the other brand.
How about we get a female in here?
Carlos, come on. We're just having fun. You don't have to get all. Oh, that you violated a metric that the professionals. Oh, fuck that. Just whatever.
So to explain a little bit on how the platform of SIA came to be, it's based off of how I was doing interviews on Facebook Live with celebrities. And so what we did is just say, let's build it in a way that's monetizable, and also where we can actually show a production.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the concept, the design, and the ability to have an audience and interact and bring them on camera all came to be. And then our second iteration will then include graphics and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very mindful. It's also got copy protection. So
nice.
We have Paramount Pictures that'll be showing previous films that existed, and we're going to have the actors of those films on the show.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Movie demonstration. And that's where Kevin Smith will be interviewing those actors, so that we have some big names and stuff to promote the platform.
And this is what I love to see, and especially from you, Carlos, because you're more involved in the entertainment industry in regards to the type of streaming you do. You're connected with celebrities in Atlanta, which is a huge Latino community, obviously.
Well, they're in LA mostly.
Yeah, but you're connected to some people there as well. Isn't there some type of affiliation there in Atlanta that's broadcasting as well, or was that the newspaper you were doing?
What's happening here, the reason we built it here is because Hollywood shoots more movies here in Atlanta than they do in Hollywood.
That's what I would. Okay, that's what
so we have movie studios. I should be opening my movie studio in about hopefully a month or two.
Cool.
And that's so. Well, what I've done is we've built 5 different businesses. Each one has a very specific business model, but the whole concept is to recreate Hollywood and change the entertainment industry by using the internet as our primary core asset.
Grassroots.
So we're not reliant on the cable channels, and we're not reliant on cable networks. We're not reliant on Hollywood. And we don't have to basically abide by their rules anymore.
Yeah.
We have the ability of offering content creators to own their content, including the music industry, and then even have the music industry interact with the film and television industry. But it's our industry. So I sell all the equipment to create shows so that they can create TV shows if they want to do them live, or multi-camera to reduce their cost. And if they're filmmakers, then we'll have the option for feature films and stuff. And then I can go outside of the country and bring content from outside of the country and say, look, you don't have to deal with the crap that Hollywood has built or that the television networks have built. We're now freer, and you still own your content. And we now have relationships with major advertisers so that it's monetized either through advertising or subscription, and we have 6 different business models as far as monetization for the experience platform. And for SIA, it's straightforward. People want to watch, they pay, and enjoy the content.
Now, one thing I've noticed, and maybe you can clear this up for me, because obviously Facebook has started the, where they're dropping commercials inside the actual videos that are being broadcast, and if they're done live, they show up during the replays. But what happens in that regard is they can stomp right over a really cool topic of discussion that you're like on the edge of your seat, and then bam, all of a sudden this commercial shows up. And there's really no rhyme or reason as to, I'm sure it's a timed thing more than anything.
Well,
I find myself doing, well, let me just say one thing. What I find myself doing in Facebook now, the second those ads pop up, I lose total interest in the video, and I just keep scrolling.
So may I interject
now for the content creators, I think. But what do you think?
Can I say something?
Well, let me just before you go, Shelton, we're looking at long-form content.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're looking at long-form content.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to do like 5-minute shows or 10-minute shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Where when you're watching it on your phone or on your browser or whatever, you kind of lose interest. The whole point is, if you're doing a show that you think you have a large audience and you're able to control your topics and be consistent and upgrade its quality, it's one of the reasons I don't like BCBLive. One of the reasons I don't like some of these other things that are trying to do shows is because, well, now you all look the same, and even though you can put your little brackets or whatever around it, you're still limited in what you can do. So I started focusing on, you can still live stream, but you still create content that's completely unique every time, and break the rules of whatever those limited applications are.
It's interesting.
And then create long form content where people can sit in front of a television or a tablet and enjoy it with the family and become part of the mainstream, as opposed to your specific niche market only. And so to me, creating enough content the way we've been doing it in the past couple of years, even before Blab or during Blab, what I wanted to do is build something that can lead to, because the whole live streaming thing on Facebook or whatever, it's a lot of people are trying to make it look like it's a TV show that you can just sit back and enjoy. And they forget that it's a social media platform, and Facebook is going to work against you unless they're going to put you in the live TV thing, watch TV, and monetize that for them, because they need to make money off of every time. So to them, live, Facebook Live is about socializing, because it's a social media network. It's not about doing a show and making money off of it.
No.
So what I figured is, okay, well, when they start to really block everybody from making money off of this stuff, it leads into our platform.
Gotcha. All right, Sheldon, what do you think?
Okay, this is fascinating, because this is something in Blab I kept running into. Really, there's like two mindsets, and one mindset is the show mindset, and it's formal, and you're going to use the conventions of TV, if you will, formal, and there's rules, and you do certain things a certain way, and like nerd whacked out jobs like me, who just like want to talk, you sort of pat me on the head and say, okay, we'll listen to you, but go about your business. And then there's the other way of using it, which is what I'm more interested in. It's like, let's just have a good conversation. I don't care, as long as you're wearing a shirt, as long as you're not abusive. Let's just have a good conversation. Let's just
hold on a second. I'll be right. Hold on.
Yeah, let's just have a good conversation. You guys are professional. You got a career, and you're all about metrics and making money, which is perfectly valid, and I applaud you. Good.
Not me.
But for people like me, maybe the entertainment is the experience of making new friends and having a great conversation. And it's not about the metrics or the branding. It's about that the entertainment is in itself making new friends. That's why discovery is so important to me, whereas perhaps to you it's not that important because you're more interested in content creation.
No, that's where you're wrong here, Sheldon, only because the fact that I created this show based on the exact premise you just stated. I did not make this show to be the broadcast. Okay, here I am. It's Monday morning. I'm going to get out here. I'm going to do my green screen. And hello, welcome to the broadcast, everybody. This is Leland Best, and I'm going to make some money off of your ass. No, that's not why I'm here at all. I'm just here to build relationships. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what I learned when I was on Blab. It was about.
That's perfectly valid, and I appreciate it. I'm not.
Seen the video? Did you see the video I started in my Blab presentation?
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
I didn't know if you saw the intro. Let me just. I'm going to do this for the people who aren't here. Or who weren't at the Blab reunion, because it's a very short video. It's almost 3 minutes. So I'm just going to pull 3 minutes out of this broadcast for a second so you guys can watch this. This is something that I just put together at the last second, and I actually voiced it over live while I was broadcasting. I didn't prepare the voiceover ahead of time or record. I just did it while the video was playing. So just bear with me for a second. This image that you're going to see at the beginning is an image that Brittany Metz. Whoops, it started playing. Hold on. This is an image Brittany Metz put together at the beginning. You'll see it when it starts. I don't have, oh, this is the wrong video. This is the reunion. This is the video I use. So there's no voiceover on it. All I did was come out here and mentioned how the way my experience was getting together with Jonathan, how we built relationships, how we made Blab Nation, how we were broadcasting to provide an ROI to people, that we were looking to try and build show formats that people could actually create an income from. So we were on that bandwagon when we started on Blab. But the thing we discovered is that it was more about just meeting people and seeing the talents they had, because we had all these people like, you know, the 101s, the booklets, the how to Blabs, all that. Even I did one. I did the get started on Blab thing. I did the best way to use the Blab screen share feature when it came out. We were playing with the buy it now buttons on screen so that we could say, okay, buy it now. We got a great laugh out of it. But the whole fact of the matter is it was about the people we met. It was about I still have awesome relationships with all these people you see on the screen. Less Jonathan, because he's actually stepped away from it now. He's not part of the broadcast arena anymore.
Yeah, what's up with that?
He's back to family. He's got so many kids and a lifestyle that he had to upkeep, that he just felt it was best to work for some other avenues that he's involved in. And I forget exactly what it was he's doing now, but that's what David Vaughn had to say the other day. But when we started to get celebrities on Blab, where things really started going crazy was when we started seeing real people showing up from NBC and CBS and movies and things like that. Like Tony Robbins, we had what's his name from Shark Tank, Damon John was on the show.
Oh yeah,
we had I even brought in people like Eben Eka, who sat next to Obama at his podium at the White House announcing, you know, like unemployment figures and stuff like that. It was just that fun. And then in the end, it became a mess. People got ugly. They got mad at each other. They got disgusting, really, when you put it in simple terms. And it fell apart because Blab really didn't care what the people were doing anymore. We were celebrating milestones and all that stuff. But in the end, it fell apart. So our whole purpose was to just say,
well, Blab, I think what happened, the good stuff that happened with Blab was that the early adopters really wanted to make that community.
Yeah.
When the more average, normal people started getting in, they just saw it as a great way to have chat rooms and talk about nasty stuff or whatever. Then you had the guy who was the drug overlord,
Martin Shkreli.
That really destroyed.
Yes.
What's his name?
Well,
Martin Shkreli.
Well, the issue is, I think maybe you need to segmentize, or whatever the word is. I can't think of it. You need to make it more formal. Like the people who use a platform for more formal stuff, they should have their own. That should be their thing. And then maybe
that's kind of what Carlos is building.
Yeah, something like that. Because this is in the video that I did on Facebook Live, I mentioned this. When I'm old enough to remember when music videos first came out, people thought of them as commercials for songs. That's what they thought they were. They were commercials for songs, and now they're their own art form.
They sure are.
And the same thing with this. Okay, Carlos, I saw that. The same thing with this, in that people go into this thinking, oh, it's a video party line or a video conference, when I think of it as something unique unto itself.
It kind of is, I think. I think you're right. Because there's been a sweet spot determination, which is these 4 squares. It's been tested with 6, 10, 3, 2, you name it. Everybody out there is trying to see what works best in networking when it comes to just getting together and communicating. 4 squares seems to be the sweet spot by everyone's interpretation of what works best. So while we've got a new guest, I'm going to go ahead and ask Alexander. You're going to have to unmute yourself, Alexander. So welcome to the broadcast. Please tell us who you are, where you're from, and what kind of brought you to the broadcast, or what you want to have to say. It's your choice.
Hey, guys. No, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. And actually, first noticed you, Leland, on Blab. I think like we discussed the other day. And Carlos, I think I've seen you back in the Blab days too, and kind of followed some of your live streaming stuff. I think you got a really innovative product. And next time I'm in Atlanta, I'm going to take you to lunch if we can pull that together. But
that's what it's all about, right, Alexander? That this is what it's all about. That's what I want.
Yeah, and I've heard numerous stories of people that have met, face to face because of Blab and live streaming and stuff. So it's kind of cool. It's you can use these platforms to build a relationship and to build your list. And either if somebody wants some more and they like what you're talking about and they get familiar with you, then you point them to a landing page or whatever you're trying to sell, and whatever you're doing. But my question is, how is Get Vocal monetizing so they can stay in business? So Get Vocal will still be around a year from now, because I'm sure the back end infrastructure cost, they don't have huge deep pockets like Monkey Inferno or whatever it was out, that Blab, had.
They kind of do. No, there's an entrepreneur behind the scenes from here. And do you have headphones? Because I'm getting feedback from your speakers. Either turn your speakers down or throw some headphones. I'd appreciate it. That's one of the faults with these systems when we get a lot of people in a conference like this is you always have to have the headphones on or your speakers behind your mic and turned down lower. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, they are behind it. Let me mute myself right now.
Okay. So, Carlos, what do you think? I mean, you just got invited to lunch in Atlanta, and I think, isn't that really what this is all about, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, just live streaming in general, and when you have more than one person and you can bring somebody from another state, another country, that's what Blab exposed to everybody, is the ability to do that. When I started doing my shows on Facebook and I would have a guest or a celebrity or whatever, most of the celebrities had never experienced anything like that. The closest thing they've done normally when they're being interviewed is travel to a studio, get interviewed, and then they have to travel back out.
Yeah.
Here, when I interviewed them, they're home in their Hollywood home, or, with Isai Morales, he was in Budapest or wherever he was. But the simplicity and the fact that, sorry, it's a lot of...
you're all right. That's nothing. That's typical here.
So what that ended up doing is every actor that I interviewed and every director I've interviewed, from Disney to, I guess Isai Morales, we're all friends now. Mm-hmm. So they've turned that conversation to now we have a personal relationship, and it's allowed me to weaponize my platforms to be able to get
weaponize.
Are you declaring war?
Did you say weaponize?
So I use the term weaponize.
What is Luxembourg next?
What I use the term weaponize when you have, you can have a product, let's say like Get Vocal, right? Yeah. That's your gun. Mm-hmm. Now, what content you create within that platform or whatever special, unique things you do, that's your bullet, and that's how you weaponize it. That's what makes it powerful and strong and capable. And that's what brings in the audience, and that's what brings in, the uniqueness enough that it attracts more people. So the reason we did two different platforms, the reason I did two different platforms, because they don't own each other. They're totally separate companies, but my company has ownership in both. And so SIA is a unique live-only platform that's monetizable because we're going to be creating content that's unique, and it has the television concept built in. So, for example, I would like to have a Broadway play like Hamilton, broadcasted live, shot in real time, but then have the actors and the director sit down and literally interact with an international audience that came in to watch, and give it in a way that's affordable, because if you go to New York and try and watch Hamilton, that's $400 a ticket, not including plane ticket, hotel, and all that type of stuff. Now, giving access to the arts to the general public in a way that we can control everything.
Yeah.
Because there's copy protection, so they can't be recorded off screen, and there's interactivity, which is even more unique than if you went to Broadway and watched it. So changing the experience and the emotional attachment to entertainment, because that's my angle.
Yep.
Will normalize the audience to experience, wow, I now know an actor because I spoke to him on the show, et cetera, et cetera.
For sure.
And that's what my interviews on Facebook kind of showed me as this could be a new way of showing entertainment. Go ahead, Shelton. I'm sorry.
Okay. What you said was very cogent. I was listening. I just have some comments.
Okay.
One comment. One thing I'd like to do a round robin, and I want each one of you to give me your vision for this platform. I want each person give me a pithy little mission statement. What do you want from this platform? I'd like to hear that. Yeah, each person. Just
I'll start since I'm the host. For me, being that this is somewhat of a rehash of Blab, I expect it to be one step better, at least. I don't want to see it revert back to that same old Blab that we had, 2-3 years ago. That's not what I hope. They really do make themselves original and come up with their own creative flair that makes it different from Blab as well. I mean, the simple features of 4 squares in a chat is no big deal, or being able to broadcast out to any of the social sites isn't that unheard of. There's several other sites that do that as well. What I want to see here is community development. I want to, and it's already in their profile. If you've noticed, they have communities underneath your name. So they already have the intention of building out communities for people based on niches, I'm sure. Where if you're a dog lover, you can join the dog lover community. Or if you're a cat lover, you join the cat lover community, whatever it might be. And then from there, I really hope they don't turn it into a salesy, pitchy, let's just make money off this. That it's more of a networking site and a connecting point that people can take and create.
But wouldn't you say that the marketers do that?
Yeah, that's what usually happens, obviously.
Okay.
Alex, go ahead.
Okay, Carl.
Well, for me, it's more of a sandbox for me to get better in front of the camera, for me to kind of learn the intricacies and just take it to the next step. The next step for me personally, that's how I want to use Get Vocal. And I was just about to start really doing that, and then Blab went away. I was a consumer. I was viewing, and then I did a couple of little cheesy shows and stuff, but I didn't really have anything consistent. And for me personally, that's what I'm wanting to get out of Get Vocal. And then, like you said, Leland, having a little bit better experience than Blab, because I think a lot was learned from that experience and that beta.
Yeah, and I think I brought people back to this for the simple sake that a lot of them came in late and saw some of that ugly and got excited just before that. And we're like, I can't wait to do my show. And then it went out. It was gone. So I really hope those people come over here and experience it here firsthand rather than not have the chance to do so. So Carlos, go ahead.
So the first concern is making sure that it survives. So the question of monetization, that's a big one. And I know because of the back end and now having been part of developing of 2 different platforms that we're going to co-launch simultaneously. I know how many millions of dollars it takes to come in. I know how the servers and all the issues and all that type of stuff. Yeah. We've been testing SIA for a while now. We had to change our servers just to be able to accommodate,
just the bandwidth bill, just the bill for the bandwidth.
Sure,
just that one thing could be huge.
So and then with Paramount, because now Paramount's one of the investors with SIA, we have to now accommodate their wants and desires and needs as well. That being said, in terms of if this did survive, how would I like to use it? I would like to use it as part of the changing of the experience of entertainment. So you create a show and you now have a conversation going, thought process. Maybe a show has a particular controversy, and have maybe the host of, let's say, someone that's connected to the show, kind of like the way The Walking Dead has their after show.
Talking Dead.
And turn this into a nice
after Talking Dead. I love it. That's perfect. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what it's called.
I haven't seen it. I didn't know it existed.
I'm a big Walking Dead fan.
So after The Walking Dead, every time The Walking Dead comes out, there's a live show called Talking Dead, where they interview some of the actors that are in the show, but they have a live audience and they get to ask questions and interact and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But this would make something like that way more affordable.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't have to have a studio audience, and you don't have to have a studio and pay all those bills. Using this type of technology turns those concepts and ideas into a more affordable and more reach.
That's why Walking Dead has a rabid, unbelievable, loyal fan base. It's unbelievable. You think Star Trek fans are crazy.
Because of that after talk, that conversation afterwards, of being able to mourn the deaths of a character, or, I can't believe they did that in this scene, or I can't believe this plot twist. And now they get to discuss it. But this, for the concepts of the shows that we're going to be putting together, creating that fan base and creating the community of each individual show, using something like Get Vocal. And I would love to talk to them about that kind of concept, but I have to wait till my platform launches to see if I can make that workflow work. And then have each one of those shows have a show here where their community that watched the show can come in and be like, wow, I can't believe that happened in these independent shows that exist.
Oh, I got you.
So that's how I think I would want to use it.
So how'd that work for you, Shelton? Did that give you the answers you were looking for?
Well, it gave you the answer in that each person has a different interpretation of what the platform is for.
That's right.
And that was the point of asking.
But what it's for me.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the point of asking the question, because, we can't come to any consensus as to what is because if it's done right, then everybody can.
Well, I think that's the value. It needs to be a sandbox. It needs to constantly evolve and change. As we experience, that doesn't work. We need to take that. And Blab did that. I mean, they used to have a little map where you could kind of see dots where people were, and then they got rid of that. And they had all these other little things that they were testing and just kind of playing with. And I think, and like the hands, right now it'd be nice to as I'm talking and giving valuable sage wisdom, I like that. I like that. Maybe I don't know if that's good or not, but that was something was pretty cool.
It's important. And I think you touched on a very important topic here, because if you noticed during the Blab show, if you were here for the reunion, John Preto was one of my first guests, and he was the first one to talk. And then Sid was right after him, and he started talking. And the whole time, John Preto's in his little square, and he's going like this with his hand. Every time he wanted to click that little button, he was popping his thumb up like this. It is important, because I think what it's
hands.
It creates a consensus that people are in agreement with this guy. And I'm sorry, you're just wrong. You know what I mean? And that's okay, because it helps expose truth. And I think that's one thing that's most important in a site like this is you have to be telling the truth when you're out here, because if you're cracking a bunch of BS out on screen, you're not helping anybody.
Well, and I don't know if Blab's original intent was you got some kind of not monetary value, but Blab value out of it, like Blab currency. Over time, whoever had the most, would get something.
No, it was pretty much just a pellet machine.
Yeah,
it was just a pellet machine. They just wanted to make you feel better.
It was like hearts on Periscope. That's all it was.
Well, I know, but I think there's a way, maybe, I don't know, that you could utilize that to where you get some in value inside the platform out of it somehow. Maybe, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Can I know all of you are significantly smarter and better trained and went to better schools than me, but I'd like to make a comment.
High school grad.
And the comment is, I'm just saying, you guys got careers and I got shit. So that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, I feel as though
John's ragging you, dude.
Yeah, that's true. He does. It does look better.
Sorry, Sean. No, keep going. I'm
trying to articulate this in as diplomatic a way as possible. Is that you guys are looking at it from a very professional out, you're kind of like the audience. You got when it comes to investors for this platform, you're the guys they're trying to impress, because you're thinking in metrics and how do I make money off of this platform, which is perfectly valid. That's a perfectly valid. I'm not arguing. Don't want to disabuse you of that opinion. How you're thinking about how do you make money off of this platform? That's pretty much the basis of what we're talking about. How do you make money? And I'm saying that this platform, just like Blab, is very small right now. It is very small in real terms.
Yeah.
And And maybe that's great. You know, think about making money all you want to, but maybe it might turn off a few people who just sort of testing the waters a little bit and like, this video thing, I'm not sure, but I'll give it a little test, and maybe let people get used to being on screen. That's a big deal for a lot of people. It's just being on screen.
Absolutely.
And so not everybody who's like us wants to be on screen and pontificate. So
okay, hold your thought for 1 second, Sean, because I got 30 seconds to wrap up the broadcast now, but stay in your seats. I'm not going to ask you guys to leave. I just want to announce out there to Facebook and YouTube, this has been Wake Up West Coast. It's lunchtime with your host, Leland Best. We're out here every Monday at 12 noon Eastern to just try and get the conversation going. This isn't about, like we're talking about here, about making money in live streaming. This is a place for people to hang out, get real with each other, and just try to build relationships. So if you want to come by next Monday at 12 and hang out with us in one of the hot seats, you're more than welcome. Just look for the post out on the front page of getvocal.com, and we'll see you guys in the next broadcast. Take care, everyone, and have a great afternoon. All right, let me just shut that one off. It should be gone already. There we go. Stop the broadcast.
I'm not a trainer.
See, that was traditional.